Hi and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the car boot crafter, and I'm coming on with this sweet little project. Now this is a mock-up, so this is nowhere near finished. It's just me having a play, getting to a certain point and then going, let's put the camera on and make it for real. So what we're making is a little envelope purse album, or hold it, use it for whatever you want to. So we've got this little purse like that, and then when we open it up, we've got, or we would have, I haven't finished. I got to a certain point and thought that's as much as I need to know. I don't need to finish it because this paper's too thin for it, because I was just playing. And then inside we've got these little envelopes, and you can stuff them full of whatever you want to. Now I'm going to put little photo mats in there, some journaling tags in there, but you could fill it full of ephemera, you could gift it. It would make a lovely present to someone, stuffed full of ephemera and little bits for a crafter. Wouldn't that be cute? And like I say, I'm going to put a handle on it, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how I feel when we get there. So it's a great way of using up your 12 by 12 papers if you want to. But in my case, well, and that's exactly what I've done. I've used 12 by 12 papers, but if you didn't have 12 by 12s, then A4 is fine. You can even use some of your scraps, particularly when you get to the bit when you're putting in the album. So you'll need some good heavyweight card. Excuse me, I've got a really chesty cough today. So this is quite a thick, it's not hugely heavyweight. I mean, I could have used a 350 gram, but this is a 12 by 12, which I wanted to use. But you can use any heavyweight card that you've got. And what you'll do is, so this is my 12 by 12, but whether you're using 12 by 12 or A4 or whatever you've got to hand, you'll need one piece that's 9.5 by 5.5, one piece that's 8.5 by 5.5, and then one piece that is 3.5 by 5.5, and that leaves you with this piece as scrap and this piece which we're going to use as the handle. Okay, let me pop that to one side, and that's a nice big size for scrap, so you could use that. You could use it to decorate or anything, couldn't you? So now we've got these three pieces. I'll pop the handle bit to one side, and I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. So let's move these all out of the way. So your largest piece, so this is your 9.5 by 5.5. You're going to score at 3 3/4, like that, and again at 5 3/4, and that then gives us our 2-inch base. So 3 3/4 and 5 3/4. And I think most people know that I like to flip, especially when I'm using slightly thicker card, I like to flip it over and double score, so that I've scored on both sides. So I'm just folding it over and reinforcing that score line to start off with, so we end up with a piece that looks like that. So that's our 9.5 by 5.5. Next one we want is our 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score this one at 2 3/4, 2 3/4, and at 4 3/4, like that. So, and again, just fold it over and reinforce those scores. And that one. And while you're doing it, make sure you're lining up the edges here so they're nice and straight. They should be anyway if you're using a scoreboard, but sometimes they do end up a little bit skewy. So you end up with a piece that's like this, so one side slightly shorter than the other. And then this bit, so this is your sort of waterfall mechanism. So this is the bit that we've got here that we're going to adhere our envelopes to. So this one we pop in our scoreboard, and we're going to score this at half, so 1/2 inch, and then we're going to go up to 3/4 inch, and then to 1, like that. And then we're going to skip up then to 1.5, like that. Then we're going to 1 3/4 and 2. Like I say, this is good thick card, so I'm just making sure that those scores are fully reinforced. So that's 2, then skip up to 2.5, and then 2 3/4, and then at 3. Okay, I'm just going to flip it over and do that just very quickly again. So that's 1.5, 1 3/4, no, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, then 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 inch, then 2 inches, then skip up to 2.5, 2 3/4, and 3 inches. And I can pop my scoreboard away now. And then what you need to do then is fold on all of those scores that you've just put in your paper. So that's going to take a few minutes. While I do that. So what you've done is you created 1/2 inch, which is going to be the gap between the envelopes, and then the 1/4 inch pieces are going to get glued together in a second. I'll show you how to do that. And those are going to be the tabs that you then glue your envelopes on. Let's fold that straight. All the time making sure that your edges here and here are lined up really well. And last one, like that. So now I've got all of my scores reinforced, and now I'm going to go back, and the 1/2 inch one, so this is the 1/2 inch, I'm just going to fold it back the other way, and then I've got the 2/4 inch pieces there, those I'm going to glue together. So I'm just going to make sure those are nice and tight. But then the next one, the next score line, so I've got a 1/2 inch gap there, so these I'm going to fold away. So I'm folding that back on itself. So then what I end up with is those 1/4 inch folded like that, and then these two are going to be fairly flat. So while I'm at it, I'm going to get my glue in, and I'm going to run some glue just down the 1/4 inch like that, and pinch that together like that. So let me just reinforce that, and you end up with that like that. Okay, and what I like to do is to get a couple of pegs just to hold them like that, and then I'm going to work on the other end and do exactly the same. So first score line, which is 1/2 inch, I'll fold up. The second score line I'm folding up as well, and then I'm going to bring that together like that, so that we've got another like that, and then I'm going to put some glue down the middle like that. I'm going to use the size of my nozzle just to spread it a little bit thinner, Just helps with the drying time if it's a little bit thinner. And then pinch that together. And then I'm going to get another couple of pegs and peg them together like that. Or perhaps I should peg them that way instead. Like that. And then we've just got this one in the middle as well, so I'm just going to use my hands to fold the 1/2 inch scores in, and then I can just pinch those together like that. And I'm going to pop some glue down the middle. Whoops. Pop some glue down the middle again. Like that. And then find some pegs somewhere. Got some little dressmaking ones there, those will do. And that just pinches them together like that. And you end up with a piece, ignore the pens, you end up with a piece that looks like that. So you've got 1/2 inch flat pieces. So let's get my pencil so hopefully you can see. So that's 1/2 inch, that's 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch there, and another 1/2 inch there. So that's 2 inches altogether, which is the spine. And then we've got these 1/4 inch pieces that we've glued, and those are going to be where we stick our envelopes on as like a waterfall mechanism. So we're just going to pop that to one side to dry. I'm going to put another one on there because that one's a little bit looser than the others. Okay, pop that to one side and bring these back in. So now you've got the larger piece, which 2 edges are roughly the same size, and you've got the smaller piece where you've got a short side and a long side. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue those together, but first, before we do that, we're going to find, so this is my shorter piece, this is my 8.5 piece. I'm going to find the middle of the short side. So there's my long side. I'll turn it this way. There's my long side. There's my base. Oh, sorry, that'll be the top. And then this is going to be my front, the shorter piece. So what I want to do is to find the middle here. I'm going to turn it over to the lighter side. That just makes it easier for me. And the easiest way, now you can measure, but because it's 5.5, you start getting into the realms of 2 3/4 and this, that and the other. So the easiest way I find is just to pinch them together like that. So bring these 2 corners together like that, and then pinch in the middle. Now we know that's the middle. So I'm going to use my pencil to make a mark. So I've got a mark just there in the middle there. So I'm bringing out my ruler again, but I'm really just very carefully, very simple measurements. I'm coming up, so there's my crease line there, and I'm coming up 1.5 inches. So there's my 1.5 inches, and I'm just going to make a little mark there, just enough so I can see. And I'm going to come this side and do exactly the same, and make another mark just there like that. And this is how we're doing this bit here. Let me just double check that. Was that 1.5? Yeah, it was. Just double checking. So this is how we make the front of the purse. So you can, if you want, use your ruler, and I'll just do that just to show you. Use your ruler and draw from that point to that point, and then from this middle point to that 1.5 inch mark. Oh, I've gone a bit skewy there, hold on, my ruler must have slipped. There we go. Okay, and then bring out your scissors or your guillotine or whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, normally I would just grab my scalpel and my metal ruler and do this, but sometimes for the camera it's just easier to do it this way. Right, I've got a rubber on the back of my pencil, so I'm just going to rub those lines off. That's not working very well. Let's grab the other pencil. There we go. This was gifted to me. It's covered in like a napkin, I believe. But it's a great little pencil, and the rubber especially doesn't leave any marks. Even better. So there we go. So that's the front of our little purse. And it's at this point that you would get your inks out and ink all the way around it, but I don't think it needs it with this colour of paper. So there's the front of our purse. This is the rest of it. So this bit we're going to glue like that and bring that in, so it'll be like that. So just very quickly get the glue, and I'm going to cover glue all over this long panel on my the shortest piece. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that when it's glued together, you've got the join at the bottom here where it won't be seen. If I'd done it the other way round, let me just show. So this is the back of the purse. You would see that raw edge there. So it's just tidier. The difference between handmade and homemade. So just gives you that extra bit of a finish, especially if you're gifting it to someone. So glue all the way around. Not quite sure what I'm going to use this for. It's just just me having a play. And I think I've said a few times before that this year I'm revisiting things that I've done before or done similar to. So bringing out, these are both the same length, so it doesn't matter which side you choose. So, but do look for the prettiest side. Doesn't really matter with this paper anyway. So what you want to do is line it up to that crease mark there. Line it up, push it down, and then double check that all your edges are all lined up. And if you are slightly longer on this side, don't have your bit hanging. Well, you could hang it over and then cut it off, or you could just slide it back, especially if it's only millimetres, slide it back so that any difference is up here, so that it doesn't then impact on the folding of this piece. Get your bone folder and just push all that glue into those two pieces of card so that they just gel together like that. And then you've got one long piece with your uneven join there, so you've got your pattern. I mean, if you're very careful, you might be able to join the pattern up, but it's a lot of faffing about, and I wasn't about to do that. But you do have your join at the bottom. I'll just show you, it will fold like that. So there's the front. That's where my join is, so it won't be seen when it's on a shelf. Right, I'm going to pop that to one side and leave that to dry. So I'm going to leave all of that to dry while I now start making these envelopes. Now, if you wanted to and you've got an envelope maker, then by all means make yourself. Let me just double check the measurements for you. So that's 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. So you could use your envelope maker to make these. You could, if you wanted, go to 5 1/2. I have given a quarter of an inch either side, just so as it looks a little bit tidier, but if you prefer you can go to the full 5.5. Excuse me, that cough is getting worse. Right, so you'll need a piece. Now, what size was this? I think this was 6.25 by 8.5, but let me just double check. So yes, definitely 8.5 there, and this is, yes, 6.25 by 8.5, and this is how we're making our envelopes. I'm going to bring back in my scoreboard, and the nice thing is, because these are going to be the envelopes, they don't have to be double-sided. I mean, this doesn't have to be double-sided, but it just gives that little bit of a finish if there's a pattern inside, doesn't it? But you could do it plain paper, plain card if you wanted. Yeah, I preferred to have the pattern on the inside. Whereas with the envelopes, I've got lots of single-sided papers, so this is great. And you can use a thinner, these are papers, rather than card. You can use card if you want to, but I'm using papers. So I'm going to pop this in, and on the short side, so this at the top here, this is my 6.25, this is my 8.5, and I'm going to score that at 1/2 inch. Now you can come across here and score at 5.75 if you want to, but I just prefer to turn it round and score at 1/2 inch there again. So we've got those two going on. Then turn it to the long side. So this is my 8.5 inch side at the top. And I'm going to now score at 2.5. There we go. And you can come over here if you want to and score at 6, or if, like me, I'm just going to switch it round and score again at 2.5. Just means I don't have to remember all those measurements. All I had to remember was 1/2 inch and 2.5. Make life easier for myself. Let's pop this board away now, because that's all my scoring done. And to make life easier for myself, I am going to just score. No, I'm going to fold and crease all those score marks. Like that. And like that. Right, and then get out your scissors. What we want to do is to remove the pieces. So these 1/2 inch pieces at the top and the bottom. Now I keep the middle one. Let me bring in this again. So this is the envelope. Now I've kept the middle one, which gives you this. If that bothers you, then keep one of the bottom ones, one of the end ones, and then you'll have your fold over bit will be hidden under here. But I quite like having this here. I like the effect of that there. So this is how I'm doing it. I'll show you how I'm doing it, and then I'll explain again. So I'm going to get rid of these. Let me get my pencil in so you can see. So I'm getting rid of these two here, and I'll be getting rid of the same up here as well. And then I'll be keeping this bit in the middle. But if you prefer to hide all your workings for your fold over, keep one of them, one of the ends. It doesn't matter which one. I hope that makes sense. So I'm now going to just cut, and what I want to do is to remove the score line completely. So I'm just cutting on the inside of where the score line is, and I'll do the same on this side to remove that score line completely, both at the top here and at the side here. So that when I look at what's left, you can't see any of that score line left. And I'm going to turn it round and do exactly the same on these two here. And just go, whoops. Getting rid of that score line completely. which I haven't done with that one. So let me bring that back in. I must have had a bit of a wobble with my hand. There we go. And then the same this side. Remember, if like me you've got scissors that are blunt at the end, to be careful, because you end up with a raggedy cut. So only cut within the blade, don't go right to the end, unless you've got a pair of scissors that are, I can't remember where I've put them, unless you've got a pair of scissors like these that are cut all the way to the end. So when I do that, it cuts all the way to the end and I don't have a raggedy bit there. So try it yourself and have a look at the difference if you've got some that are like that. So, but it's particularly important when you're doing something like this not to go right the way to the end when you've got scissors like these that are blunt on the end. So that's what we've got. Then decide which one you want to be the front of your envelope. And I like that one because that's quite central. So I'm going to have it that way around on my envelope. And as you can see on my envelope, I've done exactly the same as I've done on here. I've got a point to it, and this time, let me just grab my ruler. This time I've gone 1.25 inches. Yeah, I thought it was different. So this is the piece that's going to be the top of my, this is going to be the envelope, the bit that folds over like that. I'm going to do it on this end. I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the cover. Just give it a little fold and a little pinch. Put a little mark there. And then with this time, I'm coming up 1.25 inches. There's 1.25. And then this side 1.25. Anyone knows any remedies to get phlegm off your chest, please do let me know. I've tried Vicks, decongestants and all sorts of stuff and nothing's really working. And I end up with a dry cough that's trying to get up a lot of phlegm off my chest. So there we go. And then bring in your scissors and cut that back. There we go. And then this side, I'm going to do exactly the same. There we go. That's just a little bit, hold on one sec. Just need that little bit cut. There we go. Oh, excuse me. So this is the envelope. Now, as you can see, when I fold that over, it creases and pulls on there. So I'm going to cut both of those at an angle. So come in tight and just cut at a little bit of an angle. And that then takes out some of that bulk, so that when you bring that in, it folds much better, much neater. Now then, entirely up to you whether you want to keep them straight like that or what you want to do. One of the things I do sometimes do is to bring that together and then using a smaller pair of scissors, let me just get that off there, smaller pair of scissors, and then get in. So I'm cutting both sides at the same time, and this then makes sure that I've got the same angle. Whoops. Same angle there. So that when I fold this up together, it doesn't look odd because these two here are at different angles. So that's the easiest way I found to do it. So let's get my bone folder again, reinforce all of these folds like that. And where did I pop my glue? Now I do put my glue on this end because I don't want to glue all the way up here, because if I then fold this over, it's going to glue everything together. So just by eye, a little bit of glue, don't need to go too mad on both sides. And if you stay fairly close to that edge, you shouldn't be gluing it down to there. There we go. And again, use your bone folder just to push that glue into your papers. And I notice I'm not very straight here, so I'm just going to flip it over and cut from this side because I can see a little bit of white there. I'm just going to use my papers as a guide, get rid of that. There we go, just a tiny little slither, but it was enough to distract the eye. And then we have a little envelope, and I've already done a couple. In fact, these ones, look, I didn't do that on these ones, did I? I just rounded them off. Doesn't matter, they're all going to go in together. So I've already made a couple of envelopes, these ones with a rounded corner, and I've already done as well, using all the scraps that were left over. This is why I used 12 by 12 papers to make this, is because I used a lot of the scraps to make some little mounts. I've also made some that are little book folds like that. I've got some in here as well, so decorated them up. Another one which has got some tags in, some cute little tags and things, and I'm thinking one of them I might just make into a little notebook to go in as well. Right, I've taken all of these out and I will decorate this one, but I'm going to show you how to put it together first. Oh, and what I haven't done is, I better do it before I glue it in, because it's going to be really difficult to do that otherwise, is just to ink it. Like that, and like that. And if you wanted to, you could put a little thumb lift there, or whatever works for you. I'm not so sure whether these papers will take the ink. What do you think? Can you see a difference? I'm not sure. Using the inks on this, maybe a darker ink would be better. I'll have to have a think about that. Anyway, let me show you the next stage. So you want to make 3 envelopes, which is what I've got here. Bring back your folder, so this is the cover, bring it back in and bring out your waterfall mechanism. Hopefully by now this is dry. Taking all those pegs off. So what we've got now is a fairly flat piece with these 3 little stand-up bits there that I'm going to use to glue on my my envelopes. So we've got the front piece here, we've got another, this is 2 inches, so this is the bottom, and then the top is up here, which has got the envelope end. So we don't want to use this 2-inch bit here, we want to use this 2-inch bit there, and all we need to do is to glue this here. What I would suggest is, and sometimes it just, the way it falls, is that sometimes this is a little bit too tight for in there. So just make sure you pop it in there and check to see if it fits within your crease marks. This one needs a tiny slither off one end. I'm using, this is going to be the back of it, and I'm just going to cut off a 1/16 of an inch, maybe, just a tiny little piece, just to make sure that it fits. So that's what I've cut off, just a tiny little slither there, and that was the end, so that's going to be the back, so that's going to be out of the way, and then we just glue it in. Glue hasn't quite grabbed there, so I'm just going to pop some glue in there as well, and on that back piece that we've just cut down. Make sure you get those ends, as we need those to hold it all together. And then line up this edge with that crease there. I've just lined it up really carefully. Make sure you get both of those edges there. And I'm going to peg this again, so I'm only concentrating on this bit here. Pegging that down both ends, just so that it grabs it, and then I can just make sure that that front bit of my purse works fine. Then pinching that bit, bring in the rest of it and push that down with your bone folder, making sure that these two edges are nice and straight. You don't want bits hanging off the edge or hanging over. And then I'm going to grab another 2 pegs and pop them there, just to hold it for a second while it starts to dry, and then using my other bone folder, just make sure that there's contact between that 1/2 inch there and the base of your purse. In fact, pencil might be easier because it's smaller, it can get in there. Just making sure that's all in there. That should have grabbed now. So I can remove those. Okay, so that's where we're at now. So we've got those 3, and that is firmly stuck into our book. So we've got a nice thick solid back here with the 2 layers, and then the base is a good 2 layers, so that's nice and solid and thick as well. Just continuing to make sure that that glue has contact all the way down. Now I'm going to bring in my 3 envelopes and decide which way round I want them to be. So that's a really pretty one, so I might pop that one on the front, that one in the middle, and then that one to the back. And what you're going to do, so this is the front of my album again, I'm going to glue it that way. So I'm gluing it to the front of this. So again, I'm going to put some glue all the way down there. Got my pegs at the ready because I'm going to peg it again. Perhaps I should have started at the back, never mind. Line it up against that crease there, so it can't go any further, but by eye, so that the top and bottom are the same, unless you've done your envelopes at 5.5, in which case you're lining them up with the edge. So there we go. I'm going to hold that and get your bone folder again and push that in like that. That then, whoops, should stick on there. Brought it up far too quickly, unfortunately. Let's get me pegs again. And then I can peg them. I do like a peg. It just holds everything. It's like having a third hand. Just holds everything together for you. So that's my first one in. I can do some nice big ones that could get that middle bit. That's this is the tricky bit. And if you've got, I mean, you can use double-sided tape if you want, or you could use some quick grab glue. Try saying that 3 times fast. So there's that one. Hoping it's grabbed it. Let's take those off a second. That seems to have grabbed a bit better. Lay that down again. Right, now I've done that one, I'm going to push it forward like that and line up the next one. So what I want to do is make sure that it lines up top and bottom with the one in front of it. What I don't want is for that to be off centre like that or that way. So again, I'm going to grab my glue and whoops, tuck that out of the way and put a line of glue on this 1/4 inch bit. It's nice and thick because we've doubled it over. I think I'm going to come back in and spread that around using the edge of my glue bottle. Make sure we've got the right way round with our envelope. Pop it on. As I said, line it up. Then bring that in like that. There we go. I'm going to use my pegs again, only I'm going to peg it down flat like that. And then my last one, exactly the same. Straight in with my glue. Like that. And this time again, using the edge of my bottle to spread that glue about. Thinner it is, the quicker it grabs, I think. So take them pegs off. They've only been on there a few seconds, but sometimes it's just enough. Make sure I've got my envelope the right way round. Buff it up against that crease mark and lay it down and make sure that that is lined up really well with the one in front, and bring that over. And again, I'm going to peg it for a few seconds just to hold it. And using bone folder, I'm just reinforcing, pushing that glue into the paper. So then I'm going to give it another second. So what I've done is I have got myself, as I said, a whole load of papers that I've already started to decorate. Some of them have got these little tags in already, so these are going to be great little journaling spots, somewhere to write, some little notes and tags on there, maybe some pictures on here. Some of them I've already decorated like that, and these are all scraps from my envelopes because I use the 12 by 12 papers. I've got an absolute load of scraps that would normally end up in my scrap drawer, but I'm using them to make these. So take those off. And then, yeah, that's grabbed, so I can push that, push that back. Make sure that glue is really grabbed onto those envelopes. A little bit cold in here today, so it's not drying quite as quick. Perhaps I should have put the heating on before I started. So there we go. There you have a cute little envelope. Oh, I was going to put a handle on, wasn't I? So here's the bit I'm going to use as a handle. So let me grab my scoreboard. I think I'm going to come in about an inch. So, and I suspect this is far too long. This is the 12-inch piece. I'm just going to give it a go because I haven't thought of this before. So I've scored top and bottom at 1 inch. So So let's see how that pans out. I think that's... I think that's a little bit too big. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. So let me get my guillotine. I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take 2 inches off. So that would make this 10 inches if you wanted to put a handle on. So I've taken 2 inches off. So I've now got a 2 inch by, I think this is 1 inch, isn't it? Yeah, 2 inch by 1 inch strip. So let's score that at 1 inch again. Fold that over and give that a go. Do we think that's a bit better? Oh yeah, that's much better. Right. So some glue on the 1 inch square. And I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to do it by eye. You could measure if you wanted. So you would leave 1/2 inch either side. Again, you know me, I'm going to get my pegs out to hold that so that grabs. These glues are great, but they're not the easiest at grabbing your project. So, and it just grieves me to spend an absolute fortune on glues. Just because it's the same stuff, it just grabs slightly better. Let's take that off a minute. Push that in. There we go. Hopefully this will work. I'm by-eyeing it again, so I'm trying to line both sides up. Not so easy when it's I've got the loop underneath, so it's not wanting me to lay it flat. So let's come down a little bit. And I'm going to use the bone folder to do that. Push it in. Right, and I do know what I meant to pick up and completely forgot, and it's in the bottom of my drawer somewhere, is I wanted some Velcros. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Velcros in there so that holds it all together. And then when this is dry, I'm going to straighten up that handle like that. So when this is dry, and then I'm going to decorate it in the same way as I've decorated these, and then these will go into those little envelopes in there, so that I've got all my journaling spots and little notes to go in there. So another little project. I hope you like it. I enjoyed putting this one together, I have to say. But I'm going to go and sit, let this dry. I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee, and I'm going to come back and decorate it. And yeah, I'll see you, and I'll put a picture up at the beginning of this video, so hopefully you've seen how it turns out at the end. And I'll see you all in the next video. Let me know if you're going to give it a go. Take care. Bye for now.